You know, today there's a lot of things that need to be said about our community. And if you're one of those people who still feels at this point that games are just for fun, we shouldn't worry ourselves with the companies. And don't get me wrong, games are for fun. But we shouldn't worry about the companies and the politics and the advertising and how they're trying to go after a younger demographic. And when I mean younger demographic, I don't mean the teenagers. We're talking about kids 5, 6 years old. That's right. If you don't believe that these things are happening to catch you as early as possible, if you don't think that any of that matters because you're too busy worried about what character you like or what game you like, or you want to argue about movesets and things of that nature, if you are here for that, I'm telling you now, you should turn off this video. We have a lot of things we need to get into today. A lot of serious things. All right? And we're going to start off. I usually start off with EA and their bullshit. But we have a completely different type of bullshit today. We will get into EA. But first, I want to get into this. So, let's get started. Okay? People, let's start off with a special ed student. That's right. Special education student. A special needs student who recorded bullies tormenting him. And he's accused of felony wiretapping. Now, people, understand this. This kid has been bullied for time and time again for a while. Okay? And what this kid did was, he decided that he was going to take his iPad, which was school issued, and he was going to record in the classroom, all right, that these kids were bullying him and tormenting him. And he recorded the entire thing to show his parents. Now, understand, his mother, understand this. The teacher in the report is talking about how the teacher tried to stop the kids from bullying him, but she couldn't get a handle on this. Now, what the kid did was showed his mother. The mother, of course, outraged, went to the principal and said, "What are you going to do about this?" You know what the principal did? Principal called the police. Okay. Problem with that is the principal called the police on the child who recorded the bullying and tried to say is accused of felony wiretapping. You've got to be kidding me. Now look, as of late, we have seen all these so-called bullying programs, anti-bullying programs, they step in. Where are the anti-bullying programs for this? We see wrestlers, we see Sean Combs come out and say he's against it. Where are all these people to back this kid? This kid had to go to court. That's right. And the judge was going to throw the book at him. He said, I agree. We're going to just throw the book at him. And we're going to say it's felony wiretapping and we're going to charge him. But the police department decided that was a bit too much. And they charged him with a lesser charge, which was disorderly conduct. Mind you, this is a child who looked towards authority. All right? The principal did nothing. The parents or the mother could not do anything, even though it looked for it. The teacher did not do anything, tried to do something about it. All right? You go against, up to a judge, and the judge is not worried about the bullying and says, we're going to charge you with this. You have to be kidding. This system failed. It did. It just did. And this kid, and the thing is, for people who don't understand, because they're talking about how the kids are all grouped together. I actually, when I read this article, which will be in the info bar for you, I talked to my friend's sister about it because she is a special needs teacher. And she talks about how what they do these days is they put kids with special needs in with regular students or bad students because they try to say it's intervention. Now, she doesn't believe this at all. I don't believe this at all. Many of you have already voiced your opinion on us, don't believe this at all. They try to say it's intervention. The reason why they lump regular school students in with special needs students is because if you're a special needs teacher, that will provide you getting paid more. If you did not know, and this is when I'm talking to her about this conversation, she's telling me that, these teachers, regular teachers, have to take 1 or 2 classes of special education, and then they're good to go. That's not good enough. She said she admitted it herself. It's not good enough. There are a huge lack of special needs teachers in the workplace, in school. And this is something that is a problem. It doesn't cause intervention because, and as she said, when one child is doing slower than the others, that's where the bullying starts. See, this is the sad part that we have right now going on. It's amazing how we have money for wars and defense, but we can't get the right education out here to these kids. We can't have the right protection out to these kids. Can you imagine a parent who has to go through this? And here's the kicker, all right? All those bullies that were caught bullying, nothing happened to them. No detention, no suspension, nothing. The system failed this child. Could you imagine all the other children that went through this that haven't been reported? And this is what I mean. So when I hear people on here talk about bullying and people being bullies and using that to their advantage, you aren't being bullied. I don't want to hear it. Now, I've told you before when it comes to bullying, in my experience, you have to take care of it as soon as possible. If one person bullies you, go ahead and punch that person in the face. Will you get in trouble? Yeah, you will. All right? Will it lead, is it sometimes the right thing to do? It's not the right thing for everyone, but understand, you stop that at the door. Because if one person does it, you know what that means? Another person is going to feel inclined that they can do it. And before you know it, you have a lot of people trying to bully you. It's that simple. You have to stop it where it is. The parents can't do anything at this point. We've seen, a couple years ago when we talked about anti-bullying, they made a game, did they not? Remember? They made a game, they showed on Fox News for anti-bullies, you know what I mean? And just they can play in their own game world with everyone who doesn't want to be bullied. That was their answer. And we all found out that was a huge fallacy on their point. This is something that needs to be taken care of. The system failed horribly. And the thing is, a lot of people like to blame the judge. Is the judge wrong with this? Yes, because the judge's not using common sense. You should know by now, the law is not about truth. It is not about justice. That's why we see so many problems. Did you know? Here's a fact, all right? 90% of rapists get off scot-free, and not because it's not reported. Do you understand that the law is not built for these type of things? And this is when you start having vigilante justice. Judges who make these type of judgments, understand, you can get them kicked off. You understand they have a certain amount of time that they can, be a judge. If anyone knows anything about the law, you will see those signs. Vote for this person for judge for their seat so they can keep their seat. The best thing you can do is vote them out when they do something like that. You do have the power, but it is up to you to make sure that your voices are heard. Now, I do want to move on. Because in even worse news, even worse, if that's not bad enough, a gaming addicted dad is arrested for letting his infant son starve to death. That's right, because he wants to play video games. He wants to play video games. That's what we're on now, right? So you let your infant son starve to death because you're too busy into the game. Is this what we are sending? I swear, this message that is being sent these days is horrible. This is in South Korea. We all know they have a problem already when it comes to going to gaming lobbies and things of that nature, cafes, internet cafes, and playing games on time, for hours and hours. We've seen people die in those internet cafes, and people did not think twice about checking on a person. We've seen this. This is getting out of hand, and yet then you wonder why they started making these rules, these laws over there where, you can only play till about a certain amount of time at night and then that's it. It's cut off. It's not like here in America where you can get on 24/7 and keep doing this. You keep playing as long as you want. That's not what happens. Understand, over in other countries, they're trying to regulate this. As far as I'm concerned, I think it needs to be regulated here too, because we see this way too much. But that doesn't matter, right? Let's move on to EA and their bullshit. Titanfall on the 360 looks perfect. Nothing wrong with it. So for everybody who bought an Xbox One, I'm not saying if you bought an Xbox One for other games, that's fine. If that's what you want to do, whatever. All right? But if you bought an Xbox One solely for Titanfall, you just wasted your money. You could have kept your 360. And got it for that. Because apparently it's perfect. There have been no complaints whatsoever about the Titanfall for 360. It looks great. No difference. You got hustled. But let's keep going. Because EA is trying to save Battlefield servers from GameSpy. For those who don't know, the GameSpy servers are shutting down and it's going to affect a lot of games. EA is trying to save those Battlefield servers so that people can keep playing them. And people are saying, well, this is a great move by them. Understand, They're not doing this for the gamers' expense. They are doing this to keep the title alive, the flagship alive of Battlefield. So when they come out with another Battlefield, you can say, hey, I'm going to go buy it. This works in their favor, not the consumer, not the gamer's favor, man. You understand that? But let's keep going. Because Bruce Lee's daughter, and a lot of you have contacted me about this. Bruce Lee is going to be in the next UFC game. A lot of people are upset. Bruce Lee's daughter doesn't have time for EA Sports haters. Okay, we're going to get into this. Because first off, this is something that really pisses me off. Not with her. But the fact is that they use that headline. Because she doesn't say that at all. Unless you're using the word haters and you're quoting somebody like that, it's different. This is the writer who said this. When the media are using the word hater, that's clearly years and years old. I mean, let's be honest here. And should be done by now. When you're using these type of words, you make yourself look unintelligent. You make yourself look unprofessional. You understand that? You make yourself look immature, actually. Understand this. I explained this just not too long ago in the sports video. When people try to defend others and have no real reasonable, logical explanation on how to defend them, on, a witty way to defend them, they will just blatantly call you a hater. Happens all the time. It's amazing how many people fall for this garbage. However, let's get into what she has to say. She says, I think some purists out there will say, oh, Bruce Lee never would have competed in real life in the UFC. This is, and my answer to that is, this isn't real life. This is fun. Bruce Lee liked to have fun. Understand, anybody, and I mean anybody, who thinks that Bruce Lee would not compete in the UFC in this days and times if he could, if he was in his prime, you were crazy. For those who do not remember, Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon, this is what he wore in Enter the Dragon. It seems like people don't understand that Bruce Lee was a competitor. And here's the problem with that, because the article goes on where Shannon says that people still think he was just an actor and not a real martial artist. Are you serious? Are you serious? Look, let's get something straight here. For anyone who knows Bruce Lee's resume, he started out as a boxing champion. He was a competitor. He's also a dancing champion, but he started out boxing, okay? And then he moved on into martial arts. If you cannot understand, where do people in this day and time still think that he was an actor? I don't get this. He had a school. He taught people. You've got to be kidding me here. But people still want to try and downplay Bruce Lee. That makes no sense. Now, for his daughter to sit here and say he just wanted to have fun and this is what he would have wanted, I heavily disagree on that. For everything that Bruce Lee went through in his life that was recorded, that was documented, that he talks about in interviews, if you listen to him, the last thing that your father would have done, Shannon, would to sell out his image to a company like EA, all right? He would have did his research first, okay? He wouldn't have sold out his image, his likeness, his belief, his integrity, for everything that he worked so hard for, because he knew how it felt. When he did the Green Hornet and they tried to downplay him as Kato and the whole Kung Fu fiasco and all these type of things, there's a reason why he left the U.S. to go back. He wouldn't have just said, even though times are different now, he wouldn't have just said, hey, I'm just going to just give that all up to some $1 million company who is known for shady tactics. He wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have sold out. But it seems like you did. And it's sad that we're seeing that. That's why, if you noticed throughout our years of games, because as she would say, he would just like to have fun. He would like to have fun. There's a reason why Bruce Lee had his own games and spiritual successors of himself in other games. There was the Bruce Lee game for Atari, Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, Bruce Lee, Return of the Legend, Bruce Lee, Quest of the Dragon, not to mention spiritual resurrections of Bruce Lee like Dragon in World Heroes, Forrest Law in Tekken, Liu Kang, for those who remember in the original Mortal Kombat, that's what his model was based off of, okay? Before Ho Sung Pak decided to model Liu Kang and they fleshed him out with Robin Shao. Remember this. Also, of course, Fei Long from Street Fighter. And when EA was approached about the whole sellout factor, okay, This is what they had to say. This is from EA Sports UFC creative director Brian Hayes. He says, "For us, this is about creating the most authentic version of Bruce Lee we possibly can. From what he looks like visually to how he actually moves inside the octagon. I will put any amount of money down, Brian Hayes, that gamers will supersede what you're doing. Have you not realized in the past, since the beginning of Creative Fighter, people have been creating Bruce Lee? This is why companies try to take it on their own to make a spiritual successor, to keep his spirit alive in other characters. Understand, whether it's in wrestling games or boxing games or other games like Mortal Kombat where you can create your own fighter, people have dedicated to making Bruce Lee. Just like how when you see boxing games, people do creative fighters or creative boxers, they make Rocky Balboa. They make they dive deep into creation. So no matter how much that your creative team puts in work, gamers will put in that much more. I'll put any amount of money any day of the week on gamers to make a legit Bruce Lee as opposed to what you're doing. Any day of the week. Now, I will say this. EA talks about how people shouldn't be upset about this and how people are taking this negative reaction. This is what they say. Once again, look, it's a game. It's a game. And they're saying that people will probably have, a negative agenda to show that Bruce Lee is bad in the game. They say if people are posting YouTube videos of him not performing well, they've got a lot of time on their hands and laughs. So pretty much they're trying to say you're losers for doing it. That's what they're saying because you're showing he performs poorly. Let's get something straight here, okay? If you're saying it's a game, EA, this is not just about being a game. If this was just about a game, and as his daughter says, this is just about having fun, then why is he a pre-order? Why wouldn't you have that for free? I'm not trying to hear this. This is about money. That's what this is. Don't sit here and lie to these people. I'm not trying to hear this, man. You're not going to pull the wool over my eyes. EA, you just can't. You never have. You never will. That's simple. You know what you're doing, and you should be ashamed of yourselves. You may have, cut her a big check, his daughter a big check, and said, hey, this is how we should do things, and she was like, okay. You know what I mean? And you probably promised her that you'll keep the integrity of things, but us as gamers know what you're about. We know. We know what you're up to. I really hope this fails, because all you're doing is saying, we have Bruce Lee, we're going to entice you to buy the game. That's what it is. If you really want it, you got to pre-order it. That's ridiculous. Give it away for free if it's fun. If it's such an iconic, legendary status, if it's that important, give it away for free. But you're not going to. But we're going to move on. That's right. Because I want to talk about, I want to talk about more of this advertising, trying to entice you to buy things. Okay? The new Call of Duty has Snoop Dogg announce your kills. That's right. He's going to be announcing your kills. Somebody please tell me why you need Snoop Dogg to announce your kills when you're shooting someone in Call of Duty. And the thing is, the writer talks about how this is the greatest thing ever. This is the greatest announcer ever. They're trying to sell you it. Look, it seems like these days, people just want to create this hype and these fans. I don't understand it. This shouldn't be something that says, hey, Snoop Dogg is going to announce my kills. I'm going to go buy the DLC just because of that. It's ridiculous. It's a soundboard. That's all it is. It's a soundboard. You've got to be kidding me if anyone thinks that this is okay. If you have to stoop this low to get people to buy your game, I mean, hell, you put Michael Myers in your game and you did that completely wrong. Now you want to put Snoop Dogg in the game. In the regular Black Ops, at least Ice Cube, when he was in the game, he had a part in the actual story. He was voicing someone. You're just getting Snoop Dogg to say, hey, I'm going to voice some kills. This is what you throw your money at, huh, Activision? Just to keep people entertained. It's the same way as when you do these trailers for Call of Duty and you always play Eminem music in the background. You're trying to hook the cool crowd so they say, hey, this is cool, this is fresh, this is hip. You've got to be kidding me. This advertising is crazy and it's affecting everyone. It's like parasites. It is. You're creating this standard that is so low on the totem pole. Like, I don't understand how people are okay with this. This is what we have when you generate fanboys. All right? This is how, this is cool because it has this, and you can't say anything bad about this, or you should go to hell and things of that nature. And this is what we see. And if you don't believe me, let's look at it in full effect. Let's look at some proof.
Sonic, light, Sonic, light, Sonic, light, Sonic, light, Sonic, light, Sonic! Stop hating on Sonic for no reason! Seriously, what the frick, guys? criticizing Sonic for the littlest of reasons. It makes me so mad.
I really hope that you're happy. And what I mean by that is the companies, the industry, because you've created this monster. Do you understand that with this console war, and this is what you've created, okay? For every David Jaffe, for every Cliffy B, for every Tamim, don't you understand that your influence has gone down this route? It has pushed onto gamers, grown men like here on YouTube who think that's okay to do as well. I've told you before, now it's down to the youth. This is the new generation of gamers. Don't you understand that? This is what we have to look forward to. Remember at a time where when we complained or we said, hey, I like, the Nintendo better than the Sega Genesis. And other people would say, well, I like the Genesis better than Nintendo. It would end there. You want to know why? Because you still went over your friend's house and you still played whatever hell system they had. That's why. Didn't matter. It ended there. These days it's, you should die, you suck, you're a hater. You have to be kidding me. Is this where things are going? And I say bigger YouTubers because I've told you before, you bigger YouTubers, when you make a spectacle of yourself, this is where the influence comes from. They think it's okay. We've seen guys smash things on camera. We've seen guys act all types of, saying the most vile things on camera for attention. And then you think, if you keep saying it, that it's going to become cool, that it's going to catch on, as if you've been watching too much South Park. Even they said on South Park, all right, the creators said, maybe we lowered the bar too much. You try so hard to be something that you're not. And then you want to call yourself kings and gaming gods. And when people step up to the plate like me and say, prove it, you back down. What is the point of being a gaming god if you're lonely at the top? You need this community in order to survive. That's what gaming was about. It gave us a place of sanctuary for people who didn't fit in. And now everyone thinks it's okay. I guarantee when I first saw this video, it's disgusting. I didn't laugh at the kid. I said to myself, where's this kid's parents? While other people are laughing at him. Where's this kid's parents? Do they know he's doing this? Matter of fact, how old is this kid? He doesn't even look old enough to even have an account because, to the terms of service, you have to be a certain age. This is ridiculous. And like I said before, you have to make a spectacle of yourself to do something like that. 100,000 views plus, 100,000 plus views for that. Stop hating on Sonic. This is what our community has come to. This is not a community anymore. What we're seeing is divide and conquer. That's what we're seeing. And I will put it like this. There, I will put the full video, like I said before, I will put the full video in there. There is an article about why fanboys act like idiots. That's right, act like idiots. It's a well-written article. There's a couple things I don't agree with in this, like giving fanboys credit for loving something so much. No, let's get something straight, all right? Anybody who has been in a relationship, if you love something, there's a thin line between loving something and becoming obsessive. And when you become obsessive, that's when things go wrong. We've seen people send death threats to developers, to publishers, to each other over disliking either the game that they like or the character they don't like. You've got to be kidding me. Why isn't this game on this system? Let's send them death threats. It's gotten out of hand. And yet nobody wants to step up. Why? Because everyone's being paid. Everyone's got their own hustle. The industry knows if they do this, they'll get paid dollars, some serious dollars. The media who plugs this stuff like the Snoop Dogg thing, greatest thing ever, they're getting paid to say that. You have YouTubers who are counting their pennies and saying if I act a certain way and I get all these views and I monetize stuff, I can get paid with partnerships. Nobody is worried about putting everything together. Everyone's for themselves. And for some reason, people think that's okay when it's not. And then they want to call themselves role models. You have to be kidding me. I said this before to another person who messaged me about this type of thing. Nobody on here, including myself, no matter how much good we do or bad we do, we are not role models. We are not. You find your own way. That's what you do. and speaking about this because, like I said, in the article, they talk about how the companies brainwash you into these advertising schemes and how this is how they create things. And I want to talk about more about this because, like I said, if you don't think that it's getting serious, oh, this is just one kid, they're not really trying to get them at a young age. Really, they're not trying to get kids at a young age. Well, then tell me this, all right? Activision. Why is it that Call of Duty, as we know, is an M-rated game? We know kids play Call of Duty, and for some reason we're supposed to bypass that. But now they have Mega Bloks. That's right, Call of Duty Mega Bloks for kids, for children. That's right, an M-rated franchise now for children. Get them young so as they grow into it, they can become a larger franchise and keep feeding that machine so they can keep pushing it out. It's the same thing that you see not too long ago, back in the day, I should say. I shouldn't even say not too long ago. Back in the day with McDonald's Happy Meals. Understand that this is something that they are trying to attempt. This is what you call coercive persuasion. This is one tactic. I want you to think about this tactic for a minute. Think about these things I want to read down to you, all right? Mind control works by gradually exerting increasing control over individuals through a variety of techniques, such as excessive repetition in routine activities, intense humiliation, or sleep deprivation. It goes further into cult status. When you think about this, and I want to talk about such as excessive repetition of routine activities, where do you see that at? A lot of first-person shooters. You see a lot of YouTubers who do this purposely when they make their videos, or some that do it and don't even know that they're doing it. All right? And I'll give you an example. When you're watching a Call of Duty video or a first-person video, but the person is talking about something completely different. Has nothing to do with the gameplay at all. Do you get what I'm saying? That is a form of mind control. It's hypnotism. It's coercive persuasion. Understand. Go look it up. Some of these YouTubers know what they're doing and some don't. All right. Some just saw it and said, hey, this is how they got big. There's a reason why. This is why you see so many people. We say, wow, that video was bad when you think about it. But then you listen to these people like, no, that was great. That was great. They're not listening. 4 out of 5 people. 4 out of 5 when watching videos like that. Look at the stats. Have no idea what's going on. Are being brainwashed. They are distracted by what they are seeing visually as opposed to what you're listening to. Sometimes it's best to just close your eyes and listen. But these YouTubers know what they're doing. It's a hustle. Like I said, some don't. Some have not even realized that. They just think it's a style of video. No, it's a style of mind control. But it seems like, I'm sure there's going to be a number of people who come in here and say, oh, no, you're wrong, blah, 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 blah. You're just mad at them. You're jealous. I'm sure. Sure of it. All right? I want to move on because we'll talk more about community. All right? PR Balrog says that the US FGC scene doesn't help each other enough. That Japan players will teach each other even if it means them getting beat themselves. It's interesting he says that, and I agree. We've seen this time and time again. I can't tell you, even trying to go into a game like a Persona or a BlazBlue and trying to watch the matches, and people, I've shown this before in the past, people are upset that their matches are being watched because they don't want you to see their style. It's interesting because back in the day in the US, we didn't have this problem. We really didn't. And if you don't believe me, there's a number of us that do still do this, who do help each other out and give tips and things of that nature. If you don't believe me, you can ask Curious Doom when I played him in King of Fighters. Ask him when we were on the microphone. All we did was give tips and tricks to each other on how to, to perform better or how to, to see openings and things of that nature when we were playing each other, regardless if we beat each other or not. It didn't matter because that's what it's about. It's about helping each other out. But it seems these days people aren't worried about that. You have people who are too busy trying to make tutorials or trying to charge people money to give them, tutoring lessons on how to beat a person and things of that nature. Like I said, it's all a hustle. All of it. But nobody wants to talk about that. We should just sweep that under the rug, right? PR Barra, absolutely right. I agree 100%. Like I said, there's a very small minority of U.S. players that do try to help people out. They do. Not taking that away from you. Not at all. But majority don't. Because they're too busy fixated on being the best and being... I keep telling this is where it's going. It's sad. Let's keep going. Video games cause aggressive behavior over losing and frustration, not violent content. We already knew this. Games don't make you killers. They don't. Frustration, fine. Losing, you're just a sore loser. It's that simple. But why is it that this came out now, which was common sense, as opposed to our government spending X amount of dollars to trying to, have a correlation between the two? For those who don't know what's going on, just not too long ago, I actually sent an email out I had to actually address and request an interview with the president about this issue. We'll see if they get back. I'm sure they won't. Just saying. I would love to, do a face-to-face with him interview and talk about this, because it's getting out of hand and how media outlets really try to make gamers look like the bad guys. See, the difference is I'm attempting to do something, while others are just too busy worried about playing their games and making money off of people. It's ridiculous, man. But speaking of making money, which is going to fall and fail, if you ask me, Capcom is constructing 2 new R&D buildings for next-gen and social gaming. Capcom, didn't you just slash your income in half? Didn't you learn anything from your losses? And now you want to build 2 buildings for next-gen and social gaming. This is funny, because it's the same Capcom, and they're spending a lot of money building these buildings. But didn't you say you didn't have any money at all to make Street Fighter V? Just saying. Capcom, you should be ashamed of yourself. I am so tired of Capcom pulling these. Whoever is making these decisions deserves to be fired. They just deserve to. No one told you to open up a mobile gaming, spot. It didn't work. None of it worked. But you keep firing at the target and missing completely until you just have no more money. How about that? Instead of actually getting somebody who can save what you have and making the fans happy. It doesn't matter. Capcom also says that Ultra Street Fighter IV Decapre was developed to attract newcomers. I'm going to stop right there with that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All right? Microsoft is thinking of adding 360 emulation to the Xbox One. But I thought you guys said if you wanted to play 360 games, we should just keep our 360 if we wanted backwards emulation. Now you're thinking about it. People understand. Fans, consumers have the power. If they don't yield to us, they're in trouble. They know they're already having a problem selling the system. This is why they're going this route. Now I want to talk about selling more, because a poll, and I want you Shenmue 3 fans to listen very closely. There was a poll. 82% of people would not contribute $500 or more to Shenmue 3's Kickstarter to get the game made. 82% of people said no. That's funny, because as we know, Shenmue 1 and 2 are great games. But here's the injustice in all that. While Shenmue can't get the money together to make a part 3, let's see how Shaq Fu 2 is doing right now. This is the screenshot I took yesterday. So let's give our hard-earned money to a basketball player who is stocked with millions, who has said that he spends $1,000 a week on apps. Let's give our money so that he can make this game, even though he can make it on his own, with his own money. But let's not fund Shenmue 3. Seriously? Do you understand where the culture is going with this gaming? You have to be kidding me. The link will be in the info bar. But I want to move on. Dark Souls 2 patch, the details have been released. Okay? PlayStation All-Stars unleashes the Ultimate Balance update for you people playing it. Disney's Infinity 2.0 edition to introduce Marvel characters. You knew that was going to happen since they bought out Marvel. I want to talk about this real quick because one of you guys sent me this. I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible because I have a little bit I want to say at the end of this video. All right. This person says, so, is it to me or are games really starting to become ridiculously easy? I remember when I played games on my GameCube, PS1, PS2, Game Boy, etc. Many games had a gradual increase in difficulty or had a very good and fair challenge and tested your skills for a good amount of time. It was days of playing Devil May Cry 3, Zelda, the original God of War, Final Fantasy, Tencent Nocturne, Xenosaga, Smash Brothers, Desert Storm, Advance War. Anyway, you get what it's saying, and many others. It says, multiplayer games and co-op games, which I really enjoyed playing, were also difficult to play and required a little bit of a learning curve. And those times there were SOCOM, Tribes, Battlefield 2, Counter-Strike, Desert Storm, Gauntlet, Dark Legacy, etc. Yes, it says, I've just been noticing today that many games are just becoming way too easy. Sure, some modern games like Counter-Strike, Global Offense, D2, okay, this goes into all these other things. Other than Nintendo games, to an extent, give a challenge and sometimes require teamwork. But too many of the hyped-up games require caveman-level intelligence to complete, which is true. It says, I was just at my cousin's house, and he has an Xbox One, and he just got Titanfall. He goes off to play some hockey near the local rink and lets me play online. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm bragging, but just 10 minutes of playing online, and I'm already becoming a killing machine. In 2008, Prince of Persia game wouldn't even let you die. I play Call of Duty, and the only thing that is difficult in the game is the bad lag compensation on the server side. Morrowind was a pretty difficult game at times, especially Daggerfall, which is my all-time favorite Elder Scrolls game, and then I go playing Skyrim, and it's ridiculously easy. Splinter Cell Blacklist, especially the Conviction, are no longer Splinter Cell and spy hacking espionage, more like casualized Fox TV, generic, drama-thrilled, starring Jason Bourne on cocaine. Okay. It says Hitman went from being a difficult stealth and disguise-based game and being somewhat poetic in its assassinations to becoming incredibly easy to trying to be difficult by bad level design and badly thought-out gameplay mechanics. Thief is now claustrophobic, linear gameplay with shoddy level design, watered-down mechanics, missing things like Hammerites, half the arrow types, Garrett's signature voice from Stephen Russell, dumb things like X-ray vision, etc. It says, don't get me started with games like Assassin's Creed, Batman Arkham Origins, which has way too many kill buttons. It says, for me, it seems the companies forgot that you have challenge in the game and still be enjoyed even by casual gamers. I just don't understand where all this casualization just suddenly came from. I will explain very quickly. Money. And if you don't believe me, Ubisoft creative director for Watch Dogs, Jonathan Morin, says, games are dumbed down because we want to make money. Right there. Link will be in the info bar. It is said that this is what it's come to. Also, by the way, Watch Dogs couldn't be more relevant to modern day society, says Ubisoft. So it should tell you right now, once again, our games that we try to get away from reality, they're pulling reality into our games. They haven't learned. You didn't learn anything from Devil May Cry? You didn't learn anything from that? And that's why it failed. You know what? It doesn't matter. Watch Dogs is getting so much bad press at this point. And now when I mean bad press, I mean from actual gamers. When you start hearing these things and gamers are like, whoa, we're not on the fence anymore with this. We're backpedaling. You know, this is not going to go well. With all these things that are happening, gamers still can't get a break. And what I mean by that is gamers help Portland, Oregon by playing games and raising food for those in need. The sad part is the media wasn't interested in the fact that gamers did something positive. You can't even call this a fair fight anymore with the media if they're not interested, if they're not going to sit here and show the positives and only focus on the negatives. That's why we are here. We are here to show you the negatives, the positives, the issues that we need to talk about. Instead of being some ego-driven jackass who decides he's the best. No one cares about that. Tell that to people out in the real world that you're the best. I'm the best gamer. Where does that get you? Nowhere. These are the things in the community that need to be fixed. These are the things in the community that need to be praised. And it seems like people don't want to take on this weight. But you want to keep acting like you're a big shot. Like I said, if you think that you're the best, if you think you have that much pull, that much stroke, that much influence, you need to start proving it. And what I mean is, don't go crying to your fans that somebody said something. No. Get your fans together for serious issues like this. But nobody wants to do that. This is why I do these videos. You call me what the hell you want, I don't care. Seriously. But more problems, more scams happen. That's right. PS4 Playroom is being used by some people for live sex shows. That's right. For live sex shows now. So let me get it straight. Now you can just broadcast live sex shows. People are going to tune in. I told you before, it's always a hustle. And whether they're in the gaming community or not, they know that the gaming community is big when it comes to internet and streaming and when it comes to making videos. They know this. If they have a separate agenda on that just for you to see, you know they want that attention. Understand that this is going to get worse before it gets better. But I do have some good news. One scam, and I told you guys before about the scam that was going on with BlazBlue. Apparently, The scam has failed. They didn't make the money. I will put the link in the info bar. They did not make the money that they needed. So it's done. And I will tell you like this. Today's video was going to be about that. I was going to go after the person. After getting all the information together, seeing all the tweets, and just the lack of disrespect towards BlazBlue fans and the excuses. Oh, I just lost the game and I don't want to hear that. That's not a good enough excuse. I didn't mean to call them cancerous, but I really don't want to hear it. The fact is, this failed, and I'm going to tell you now, okay? I'm going to keep the information that I have, and I swear to God, if this person tries to pull this again, I will drop the hammer on them. I'm not playing. There's no reason why you need to charge damn near $10,000 to make some tutorials that you already made before in the past. But we're going to get experts to do it. What experts? The only experts that I see around are the people that are in the company that make the in-depth tutorials. Because if there are any other experts that are around there, they'd be working for the company. I don't want to hear it. If you want to sit around and try to make it a full-time job, because that's what you're trying to do, go get hired by them. Don't tell me you're going to sit around at home on your ass and make tutorial videos that you've done before. I don't want to hear it. Oh, but this time it's going to have bells and whistles on it. I don't care. A lot of people clearly didn't care. There's people that are in info bar. You tell you in the link, it says, I don't trust you. Straight up, I don't trust you, given your history. That's what was being said. I'm done. And then you wonder why I'm always pissed off.